Already on? Yeah, now it's on. Yeah, hi and welcome to Adapting Communication Habits to Digital Transformation. I would like to talk with you today about the role of communication and how we can help our colleagues, our employees, to communicate more effectively. And yeah, shortly to myself, my name is Carina Storr. I am head of internal communications and employer branding at GBA Group, and among other things, of course, consulting our leadership team in communication matters. GBA Group is an international life science service provider in the main fields of pharma, medical devices, environment like water and food. And yeah, let's jump into the topic. So just to share before we move on, everything that I share today is based on the idea that digital transformation is a never-ending process, and I also assume that every company more or less has a digital strategy that aligns all the digital transformation projects, but it's still not enough, and we will have a look why soon. So shortly I will go with you through the question why we really need to adapt our communication habits and how we can do that. And in the end show you also some insights how we implement that at GBA Group. Yeah, so why do we need to adapt? Of course, we are all agree, I guess, that digital transformation within organizations will increase. And also, according to Gartner, the implementation of technology is still on the agenda, on the priority agenda of CFOs and CEOs. So, together with growth and talent. If we talk about costs, I guess at the moment it's about $1.8 trillion worldwide in spending for digital transformation, if I'm not wrong. And according to International Data Corporation, they expect it to be about $3.9 trillion in 2027, which is quite a sum, I guess, at least for me. And then we have the information that we also got this morning that 70%, or about 70%, of digital transformation projects fail. So we lose a lot of money, and if that's keeping on like this, we will lose a lot of more money again. So, of course, we need to understand why do they fail. And there are a lot of companies like McKinsey, Boston Consulting Group, and others who get into the topic. And of course, there are a lot of reasons why projects fail, because we have different organizations, different kind of projects whatsoever. Something that always is mentioned somehow is people. So organizations do not focus enough on their people, and we already heard today how important the people in transformation are. And they're talking about people dimension, company culture. They talk about, even specifically about poor communication, or also about trust. For example, FTI Consulting found out in research that about the transformation project that had failed, 80% of them had a lack of trust. So there was a strong link between these two topics. So that's why I say communication is key, because in the end, how do you shape a culture? How do you shape collaboration? Or how do you create trust? It's through communication. It's how we communicate with each other. And having said that, let's have a short look at the current stage of communication within organizations. So, of course, also communication is impacted by the digital development, and we see that it's quite a tricky situation at the moment, according to a survey that it's done by Grammarly and the Harris Poll, which is an annually one now for 3 years. They are doing that, and they found out, of course, that we know all, an increase of channels, but still in the last year a high increase of channels. So it's still going on, that is coming more and more. People report an overload of information in terms of notifications coming in, do not have the focus anymore to work on what they need to do because they get so many information and notifications, and at the same time even an increasing frequency of communication. And all this creates insecurity. The people participating on the survey reported that it's really hard for them to decide what channel is the best one, what to use. And others, like more than 50%, are afraid to misinterpret written communication. So that's quite, there are quite very important points that in the end lead to miscommunication in a company. And here's also a fact, like 59% of business leaders who have been asked reported that they experience at least once a week a misinterpretation of communication. So it's quite a thing. And what does it mean for the current status of communication? We have more communication, but less valuable information. And that means for us that the transformation projects are really like a ship on a stormy weather, and it's really hard to see. So let's also have a look at the positive side. That means effective communication can even support digital transformation. Just very quickly, because it's so important to create awareness and security, and also add some business factors to it, like cost savings, time saving, better performance. Having a look again at the survey from Grammarly, more than 60% of the business leaders asked reported an increased productivity thanks to better communication, and even an increased confidence of the employees. So what does it mean now for the success of digital transformation? So what can we do? And of course that's so in the end so super easy, and I think we all know it. It's about the people. We need to empower our people to be the driver, to be what we expect from them, to be the driver of transformation. And it's easy to say, but of course it's not easy to implement and to realize. So how can we do that? And yeah, I will show you a little model, which is totally based on my experience. And let's see if we maybe can evolve this during the discussion later on. So it's like a getting started guide, I called it, with 5 action packages of what companies can do. And of course, the order and priority can differ depending on the organization itself. But this is how I would do it. So the first package or clock wheel that you can see here is the holistic communication structures, and that's really about defining the communication channels. What information do I find where? What information do I have to spread where? Define the communication cascade, so who I have to ask for information, and making sure that people who get information, they know that they have to share it and how to share it with their teams and with other people. Even setting rules and guidelines for that to really create security and clarity for the people so they can be active and are not blocked because they are afraid to do something wrong. This is also something what I experienced in previous companies, that even business leaders told me that they do not communicate and they do not share information further because they are not sure what part of it they should share, and they do not want to do the wrong thing, so they prefer to don't do anything about it. So that's the big thing, and it's quite easy to solve. The next package or clock wheel is interactivity. It's about creating a safe and easy to use space for feedback and interaction, and to really understand pain points of your people, be able to improve, and in the end to start creating trust, which is, as we've seen before, really, really important. So the next one is mutual understanding. So it's really about fostering the understanding between different departments, between different cultures, and here it's also something that's really like growing with digital transformation even. So we work remotely, we work more interdisciplinary, we work more international, and I guess most digital transformation projects are interdisciplinary and international. So that's a very important point, and it again creates certainty. It also saves time because I know how to interact with my peers. I'm able to even create relationships. So the next one is knowledge. And here it's really knowledge about communication. Help the people to evolve their communication skills, understand the basics of communication without making professors of communication of them. So really on the basic. And that's again, it brings security, it brings confidence and timetablings, because I know how to prepare my mail and I don't have to send 5 to get what I want, but I send only 1 and everyone knows what I want. And last but not least, I really like this one. It's integrated storytelling, and here it's really about setting a framework with like emotional and contextual lines to give a kind of navigation, how people can and should communicate their change story. It's about sense, it's about purpose. What does my transformation project do? How do I do my impact in our organizational purpose? Why do we make it better? Why do we have to do it? And of course, this is really supportive for creation identification, cost, even time saving. And of course, I choose the clock wheels. I think it's obvious, but I just say it because you see that they are all interlocking with each other and supporting each other. So that's also really important, that one thing alone will not work. It's important to create a great foundation. And how does that play now with digital transformation projects? So here now you see the gray clock wheels, which are transformation projects, just to understand. And they are interlocking also with the other clock wheels, the other action packages. And this is really about empowering the people to communicate, to be confident, and to have the foundation to do change. And if we have a look at the first clock wheel, holistic communication structures, we see that if I'm in I have my project, and if I think about how can I start communicating about it, I already have the defined channels, I know where to go. There are some formats I can choose from, and I do not have to overthink about it because I have it all on my way. Same if we talk about interactivity. One point that here is still more important, that people are used to use these feedback channels. They have adopted them, so they feel safe by using them because they did it before. They know if they criticize, it's nothing happening. Maybe even a good positive reaction, so they will use it again. For example, I will go to that later, but now I announce it, so I will say it also. At GBA Group, we have also the possibility to give feedback anonymously, and I really expected it to be used a lot more, and in 2.5 years I got 1 message anonymously. So that's great, but to at least give the space and to be able to interact with the people. If we look about mutual understanding, it's quite easy. For example, your stakeholders will understand your technical terms and what you mean. I will go into that with an example later on. I will not explore more. And even knowledge, I, as in the part of the transformation project team, am able to address the people. I know how to address them, what questions I have to answer, what I have to expect, maybe even as a reaction, because I'm trained in it. And if we have a look at integrated storytelling, I do not have to invent anything, because there is already a big story that the company is telling. And here's the point: I know storytelling, everyone talks about it, but mostly it's used externally for marketing, for employer branding. But this is really about telling the story inside for you people. Having said that, it's time for some examples. how we implemented at GBA Group. And yeah, just before I go into that, short explanation about our situation. We are quite, we are a company with more than 50 locations in 11 countries. We are quite international. We have a lot of different services. I already announced that we said that we are working on food and environment and pharma, medical devices. So we have a lot of different services and a lot of different people with different characteristics, I would say. So it's quite important for us to find a way to communicate with each other. And one example is that we have a common internal digital platform, which is accessible directly, immediately if you enter our team. So that's for us very particular because we have not only like joining people, but we also, as we are growing very fast, have joining sometimes small and sometimes big teams that we have to integrate and that we would like to directly be able to access. So we welcome the people there, we present ourselves, and we also give them directly the possibility to ask us questions. That's then the interactivity part here. We have different ways of feedback channels. People can do that privately, just sending us a message and we can respond, or they even can do it publicly so that everyone can read it, or, as I already said, anonymously. And that's just to give them a space so they can decide how they want to handle it. And yeah, here the images that you can see are some news that you can find on that platform, so it's very in terms of what it is. And yeah, regarding the specific mailings, for us we defined a system so that if it's a specific email address, people know, or a specific subject, people know what communication, what kind of information to expect. And of course, this is something that we're still starting and we are evolving. And we also have the coffee breaks, like an example with our CEO, so that are informal meetings. Of course, not every week, because that would be a bit tricky, but informal meetings with teams and the CEO. They can send their questions before, also anonymously if they want to, and then they can discuss informally together with a coffee about different topics. How am I in time? I think it's okay. Okay, I move on. If you have enough, you need to shout. Yeah, examples for mutual understanding and knowledge. This is also something that we organize different workshops for different target audiences, of course. So we heard about different audiences, and also we do that internally, that we have, of course, leadership teams, we vary between them, then we have other stakeholders, and then we have the whole GBA Group team. And yeah, so we do trainings in different areas. This, for example, is my colleague Antje. She and a colleague is doing trainings on finance and economics, and that's really also about terms, because we have a lot of people who grew together with the group from the lab as a scientist into a leadership position, and they really it helps them to understand general technical terms, so that if there's the discussions about budget or anything, it's easy to understand, everyone is on the same page and know what to talk about. And that's something also that would be very helpful regarding IT topics, just to say. And yeah, here I'm with some colleagues. We did a communication workshop there, really about the basic knowledge, and here it was more about like to understand if there are people from other departments, how to get information from them that we need, what can we do, and how would we like to do that in the future. And if we talk about like international collaboration, we just started organizing virtual meetings with teams specifically specifically based on one team in one country, and they present themselves to everyone who would like to join, or at least people are invited who have somehow a connection to the team in the country. And it's really playful, I would say, be focused on the people so they can decide the best sparring partner or the best listener or the best troubleshooter, just for example. So they present the people, they can say hi, and it's really on the people to then move on talking about what's really important for you, what are your characteristics on food, for example, but also in communication. How do you take a decision? What are the main criteria for you? What is a no-go for you in an email? Things like that to get into a discussion. Yeah, and then I brought another example, and then we are done. It's about the integrated storytelling, and yeah, we at GBA Group really rebooted our storyline in terms of what to really focus on what we do and what's the impact of what we do at the moment. And I already gave you some ideas about, like, we are international and have a variety of a lot of services. What here was really the point is we thought about, okay, what's the core? And the core of all this, what we do, is life and life science. Everything that we do has an impact on life. Because we test the food, if there are any pesticides, we test the water, if it's drinkable, and all what we do with or for our customers has a positive impact on the life. And that's also our mission, our purpose, to foster and protect quality of life. And that's the baseline for the story that we elaborate. And how do we do that? We do that by sharing the story, of course, in meetings and virtual meetings. And we adapted to the specific target groups in terms of understanding to make sure that the message is spread and reached. And we use different channels and perspectives. For example, we have the management who's talking about it from their perspective. And we also use activities like GBA Group Challenge, which is like a play, a game, while we talk about this purpose from another perspective. You see that here, for example, we have the playing fields. And people were moving, doing steps, meditation, and other things. I will not go into it, but they were always confronted with the impact that they do with their work. They participate in making it possible that kids can drink from the spring, that people can go fishing and eat the fish out of the lake, or that someone, for example, on this, I don't know, we cannot see it here, no? That someone who has an issue with a leg, thanks to a prosthesis, can dream of dancing again. And all these little stories are part of our storytelling. This is just to have a picture on it. This is managing director in the US, pharma, Matthew McCarthy, and myself having a meeting about the story GBA Group. And yeah, that's for that. And here are some questions. As I said, I would like to discuss the model with you, but even further questions like, are you investing actually, is your company investing actually in effective communication? What opportunities do you see? And also for, if we talk about artificial intelligence, how can we use that to support effective communication? And what else do you think is needed to support the people dimension? And thanks a lot. And if you do not join the discussion later on, I would like to stay connected. Please meet me on LinkedIn. Thank you.